Is an unusual way to make a point. A Harlan County man who ran twice for governor went around the state capitol today in a coffin. Otis Bullman Hensley was in the coffin on a trailer pulled by an SUV. He said he did it to symbolize all the job killing that has happened in the state in the past years. This is not the first time he's put on a show. You might recall back in 2007, Hensley rode around the Capitol on the back of a giant fiberglass bull.
A judge has ruled Kentucky lawmakers
Don't get me on that thing now.
Surely not.
Hey, you might. They might find me, dude.
Either one over here?
Yeah,
Roger over here.
Offer.
That's a nice car.
Have you seen Roger? Yeah, get up there.
I feel like I'm watching a scene out of The Godfather.
Tim, let's go. I did this. That bull's head was touching the trees.
Oh, really? I'd say it was.
I had to duck. Well, we got everybody talking anyway. Hey, can y'all pull me back to Harlan like this? Hey!
Hey, Mr. Hensley. Jim Williams, Kentucky News Network, 84 WHS in Louisville.
Yes, sir.
Can you talk to us?
I'm asking President Obama for a appointment to come to Washington, D.C. Trying to build a big mega mall up here in Bell County, Kentucky. We'll create 12 to 14,000 new jobs, 352 new stores. I'm asking every country in the world to come and have a store inside the mega mall. So it'll be international shopping experiences, an international airport goes to this project. And I'm asking all four Republicans to make a donation towards this project. That they holler, you know, that they won't change this and they won't change that. But if they do, let them put the money where their mouth is. But if they really want to help, then let them make a large donation towards this project.
Wow, that sounds pretty great. So the mega mall with these 350 stores will be in what county again?
It's in Bell County, Kentucky.
In Bell County.
Yes, sir.
So have you got like construction permits and all that kind of stuff for that?
No, I'm still raising the money for the land.
Raising money.
Then the coal company made a deal with me. If I raise the money, they'll sell me the land, and I'm trying to raise the money for it now.
Very good.
I can't wait to see what Wolf Blitzer on CNN has got to say about this.
What now? You know, you're asking nationally for all that. What about here at the State House? What would you like these legislators to do this session about the economy?
I'm sure that if President Obama talks to me about this project, that Governor Steve Beshear and all the rest of the members would jump right in and help me any way they possibly can.
All right, real good. I've got to get out of the way here for traffic, but are you guys going to be all right on the other side of the building in a second?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
All right, good deal. I'll grab a picture of you over there. All right, thanks a lot, sir.
You want to get in here with me?
No. Can't do that. Fair and balanced, you know.
pretty good so far, don't you think?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
You wait till your wife sees you on 6 o'clock news night. You ain't gonna believe it, is she? What about that damn mo chicken out on me? God, this makes me dizzy.
Hey, Lang.
Just want to see if we can get a picture real quick here. All right, sir. All right, now we.
Oh, I know. If I can get my bull back, I'm gonna take my bull to Washington. That's right. Bill, come here, man.
Candidate for governor is in jail tonight. 52-year-old Otis Bullman Hensley was arrested today by the Harlan County Sheriff's Department. He's charged with unlawful transaction with a minor. Hensley is accused of performing an illegal sex act with someone under 16 years old. Hensley made headlines with 2 unsuccessful bids for governor in which he rode a giant fiberglass bull around the state, promising if elected to get rid of the bull in Frankfort. And we'll talk to a former candidate for governor who's now in jail facing sex-related charges. He is accused of attempting to perform an illegal sex act with 2 girls under 16 years old. Tonight, former gubernatorial candidate Otis Bullman Hensley talks about the allegations from jail. WYMT's Michelle Mason is live at the Harlan County Courthouse where Hensley was arraigned this afternoon. Michelle?
Steve, Otis Hensley pleaded not guilty to the charge of attempted unlawful transaction with a minor a short time ago. The judge lowered his bond from $15,000 to $10,000 cash. Now, I spoke with him earlier today in jail. He says this all happened in a matter of 1 minute yesterday at afternoon inside Don Super Saver in Harlan. Hensley says he's never had contact with the family before then. Now, in Hensley's own words, he claims he asked a woman who was with the 2 girls, ages 11 and 13, if she would trade them for, quote, a good fattening hog. He claims this is something he has said as a joke to people for years.
It's just a very stupid, it was just a very stupid thing. I was just being friendly, I was just cutting up with the people. I meant nothing by it. Anybody knows me, I mean from Frankfort all over the state of Kentucky. I do not cause no problems.
Hensley's confident his name will be cleared and says he wants to take a lie detector test as soon as possible. Now, he's been behind bars at the Harlan County Detention Center since his arrest yesterday evening. Now, we've tried to contact the accusing family, but we've not heard back from them just yet. Live in Harlan, Michelle Mason, back to you.
Michelle, thank you very much. And
Coming up on Mountain News Night Watch.
No. Nope, I said it my lifetime.
a former candidate for governor says a joke is what landed him behind bars on a sex-related charge. He calls it a joke that went way too far. Now a man who ran for governor twice is spending his second night behind bars. WYMT's Michelle Mason was the only television reporter to speak with Otis Bullman Hensley from jail this afternoon. She joins us from the newsroom now with more. Michelle?
Steve, Otis Hensley tells me the words will never come out of his mouth again. Known to many as Bullman, Hensley claims the controversy is over a phrase he said to many people over the years.
I said, you want to trade them girls to a good hog, and just turned around and walked off.
Otis Hensley is in the Harlan County Detention Center trying to clear his name.
It was just a joke. I've been doing it for years.
A man who ran 2 memorable campaigns for governor of Kentucky from atop a fiberglass bull now finds himself somewhere he's never been.
Everybody knows I run for governor. I'm a very honorable man. I do not lie.
Hensley says he was shopping at Dawn's Super Saver Monday afternoon when he admits to making the comment to a woman with 2 young girls, ages 11 and 13.
I've seen the people before my life. They was in Harlan County. I'm just well known. I just assumed, they knew who I was.
But in less than 60 seconds, Hensley says his life changed.
I said 10 words to the lady, less than a minute.
Hensley claims he tried to apologize to the family at the store and again at the courthouse when the charge was filed against him.
I can't believe that they done that. I mean, and I can't believe I've been in jail for so long for something that I didn't do. I think the system needs to be changed.
Now Hensley says it's a joke no one will ever hear him tell again. The family who pressed charges against Hensley did not return our phone calls. Hensley pleaded not guilty to attempted unlawful transaction with a minor. He's being held on a $10,000 cash bond. Hensley told me he hopes to take a lie detector test soon and isn't ruling out another run for public office in the future. In the WYMT newsroom, Michelle Mason.
I'm Jeff Allen in Harlan County, where the family that's accusing a former candidate for Kentucky governor of making inappropriate comments at this grocery store to their 11 and 13-year-old daughters, they're speaking out tonight about that incident. A Southern Kentucky couple has a storybook wedding only.
The family accusing a former candidate for governor of making an inappropriate sexual remark is talking about the incident. Good evening, everyone. I'm Steve Hensley. Leading our news tonight at 6, the family says Otis Hensley made the remark to the 11 and 13-year-old girls while they were grocery shopping. Hensley says it was just a joke, but the family says that's not how they see it. WYMT's Jeff Allen joins us now from our Cumberland Valley newsroom with tonight's top story at 6.
I talked to the girls' mother and father and aunt today, and while they are keeping their identities a secret to protect the girls, they are telling me about Monday's incident and why they're not backing down. The 11 and 13-year-old were grocery shopping with their aunt at Dawn's Super Saver in Harlan when they say Otis Hensley said this.
I'll trade you a hug for one of them pretty little girls to keep me warm this winter. And I was like, excuse me? He said, yeah, I need a pretty little girl to keep me warm this winter.
Otis Hensley, who's now out of jail on bond, only admits to saying he would trade a girl for a hog, but not the other part. And he says he then walked away, that it was only meant as a joke. But that's not how the girl's aunt saw it.
And the girl said, Big Sissy, do we know him? And I'm like, no, we don't. And that's when I stopped. I turned around to confront Mr. Hensley.
And the only reason we're pursuing this is maybe we saved another little kid from being actually took on down the road.
The family says the incident has already had an effect on the 11 and 13-year-old girls.
They slept the other night with their backs to each other. So told one of them, you watch that way and I'll watch this way. And then last night, whenever they heard that he was out of jail, they went over and made sure that our door was locked. When they went to bed, made sure their windows was locked.
They say they really didn't want this to become such a big deal.
And I keep trying to tell them, it wasn't nothing that you did. He was a grown man. He should have known better to come up to children and say something like that.
They say they're just standing up against something they feel was not right. Now, Otis Hensley was released from jail yesterday on $10,000 bond. He pleaded not guilty to attempted unlawful transaction with a minor, and he's due in court on Monday for a preliminary hearing. In the Cumberland Valley newsroom, I'm Jeff.
Dropped against a former candidate for governor who was arrested after what he claimed was a joke left a family upset. Otis Hensley was charged with attempted unlawful transaction with a minor in Harlan County last week. The parents of 2 girls ages 11 and 13 said Hensley approached them in a grocery store last week and offered to trade a hog for the girls. Hensley ended up spending 3 days in jail, but when he apologized to the family today, the judge dismissed the charge and said Hensley will not face any time in prison.
Otis, thanks for joining us tonight. Good to have you in Hazard.
I appreciate it, Neil. How are you, sir?
Well, doing fine, doing fine. Let's talk about the governor's race. Why did you decide to run for governor of Kentucky?
A few years ago, I was sitting in Wendy's hamburger joint. There was some people, a boy and a girl had just got married, and they were sitting behind me, and they was discussing how he was going to get a job, how she was going to get a job, how they was going to raise a family, how he was going to buy a house. How, you know, it was just a wonderful conversation about how their plans was. And I sat there and listened to the whole thing. And I got to thinking, you know, it amazed me that the governor and General Assembly doesn't operate. They don't work well together. They don't try to help nobody. Seems like to me the rich is for the rich and the poor is for the poor. I intend to change that.
How are you going to change that?
First thing I want to do is put a new factory in every county in the entire state of Kentucky. What I want to do is walk in, buy the land, build a building on it, and then we'll find something to put in it. We can go to the college kids, to the high school kids, and we can get as much information from them as we can about ideals. Phillips Plaskett, which I think they employ 800 employees now, they said they're willing to come and help me. But what I want to go into is toys. I want to make toys, all kinds of dolls, plastic toys. Walmart guaranteed me anything made in Kentucky, they would put it on the shelf for sale.
How do you go about recruiting industry in? We have at one point a few years ago, there was a lot of talk about building industrial parks. We got to have industrial parks. We got a lot of those sitting empty now. So how do you fill those up?
I believe it still falls back on the governor and the General Assembly. If somebody from that office was working with those companies, trying to get those companies in here, give them tax breaks or whatever they need, then they would come in. I think we have one manufacturer in the state of Kentucky that manufactures double wides. They got a sales tax on them that nobody else has got, and that's the reason I'll move to Tennessee and other states, so we can get those back.
Let's talk about your running mate, Richard Robbins. He couldn't be here today. He's a coal miner from Harlan County.
Mm-hmm.
Why'd you pick him for lieutenant governor, and what's he bring to your campaign?
I think Richard's very unique. For one thing, he's a 15-year coal miner. That means a whole lot to me. We got thousands of coal miners out there that can't get their money. Again, Paul Patton and the General Assembly, they done it to them. And Richard's dream is to step back and make sure they get their money, make sure the mines are safe. We've also talked about strip jobs, you know, where we got so much flat land that we can get the prisoners out of jail and grow pine trees. We can plant pine trees on them to get our force back.
A lot of people have talked about the lieutenant governor being only a figurehead. One, would you restore the perks to the lieutenant governor's office if elected? You wouldn't?
No. Now, me and Richard talked about it, and he says as long as he got his pay and a place to hang in his hat, he was a happy man. So.
And what role would he play in your administration as far? Would he have legitimate duties, or would he be a figurehead?
No, he wants to stay with the miners. He wants to make sure the mines are safe and the miners get their money. To Richard, the mines is the only thing that he's interested in.
You know, Otis, let's be honest. A lot of people are watching tonight. You've joked and said that your campaign is $50 in debt. It is in debt. You haven't bought any ads, radio, TV, newspaper. Can you compete with Ben Chandler and Bruce Lunsford and the other candidates in this race? Legitimately, can you compete?
I want the people to look at me. If they don't vote for me, I at least want them to think about me before they make their decision. I just don't think that money should be an issue. I believe it should be how a man feels, how a man thinks, and if he is capable of handling the job. Abraham Lincoln and George Washington didn't need millions of dollars to be great men or leaders, and I don't either.
Do you feel like you're qualified?
Yes, I think so. I think it's time for us to pick a saw, a hammer, and an axe up, and let's build a brand new Kentucky. The rich has always run the state. They've got it so messed up, but it's going to take me years to get it straightened back out. I think it's the rich ought to step down and let the poor try it for a while. The rich couldn't handle the job.
U.S. dependence on foreign oil from Middle Eastern countries is draining billions of American dollars, both for the oil itself and for the military to protect our interest and dependence on foreign nations. If elected governor, what will you do to help promote Kentucky's coal as an alternative?
I don't know if I can do it or not, but now I've been looking at a big power plant to put somewhere in eastern Kentucky that strictly runs on coal. And if we can get that done, that's going to create more jobs. But I don't know how much coal's left. I've not talked to nobody to find out, how much more coal's in our mountains. I'm not sure.
One of the things you talked about when we talked earlier was about the Daniel Boone Parkway and the toll booths. They're slated to come down at the end of the month. Do you support four-laning the Daniel Boone Parkway from Hazard to London?
From Hazard, they're talking about it's going to cost so much money to build that. Right now, I want to build the one from Harlan to Hazard because that's the Tony Turner Memorial Highway. Me and Tony was real good friends. The last time I saw Tony, he was at Dairy Queen. I walked up to him, and he always called me Wild Man. He said, "Wild Man, you still running for governor?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "I only want the best for Kentucky." He said, "I believe you'll be a good man." He took his coffee, and out the door he went. I had no idea I was going to lose my friend. But now down on Kentucky 92, that road out there has to be redone too. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that big tunnel that they're talking about going through Whitesburg Mountain. That big tunnel is going to take 20 years to build at a cost of $190 million. I saw on TV one day they got a big machine. It bores its way through the mountain, a big round hole. I can put that through there in a year's time and have it done, and he won't cost no $190 million either.
But do you think the road between Cumberland and Whitesburg needs to be improved?
Oh yeah, it needs to be patched for sure. But I think
what about widened?
But I think the state needs to get under control. I think we need to get our money back to our schools. I think we need to get our money back to our our elderly people. And let's get all this mess straightened out for us before we try to take on a big job like that. I'm not going to shut my mouth until all the toll roads in Kentucky is closed. Are there 4 of them and 2 of them's coming down?
I'm not sure about the exact number. I know the two in this area and down in South Kentucky are coming down.
Well, now, I believe it was my idea to close the toll roads. And I think Jody kind of jumped in front of me a little bit. But now, when I was on KT last night, when I talked about the toll roads, I mentioned Jody, and I would do it here. It doesn't matter if it's his idea or mine. The fact is that those people will be able to use that toll road without paying. Talked to a guy the other day. He owned property connected. He said he owned a big farm. The toll roads come through there, I think, in 1969. He ain't had a right to his property on either side since 1969. So now, after the 31st day of this month, he will have a right back to his property. And that's the reason I hate the toll road.
Let's talk about health insurance. Costs are predicted to double in less than 10 years, while at the same time reimbursements to healthcare providers have been reduced. Just a few weeks ago, Baptist Regional Medical Center in Corbin announced 60 layoffs. There were a handful of layoffs at Mary Breckenridge Hospital. 100 people were laid off in Bowling Green. We also had some layoffs earlier this year down in Knox County. Administrators blame those layoffs on cuts in Medicaid and Medicare. It's happening all across the state. If elected governor, what are your plans for funding Medicaid for our most needy citizens, and how will you ensure quality care for all Kentucky citizens, both rural and urban?
A lot of our money comes from the federal, and I think I need to go to President Bush and talk to him and find out how much more money we can get and what I can do to help that situation. I know we need a lot of cuts, not jobs. There's a lot of waste in Frankfort that can be cut out, and I believe that Kentucky is one of the richest states we have. The money just misused. I've seen a state do some crazy things. They went through people's property when it wasn't necessary. Just take 421 going from Harlan to the Virginia line. They built a 1,300-foot bridge. Another bridge that's 150 feet high, another big massive bridge. And the rumor is that Greer's got $15 million per mile to do that. And I believe the reason they did it was just to go around a golf course in Harlan. Which, from what I understand, the golf course not making much money anyway. So why should we spend $100 million to go around a golf course?
Sticking with health care, many of our senior citizens are on a limited fixed income.
Yes.
And often have to choose between food and prescription drugs. What will you do to address this problem?
Like I say, we got to get more money. If we cut the waste out, I think there's either $250 million less than our elderly need, and that money will be restored. I'm not saying all of it now, because I'm not no liar, but I will put back as much of it as I can. The elderly is very, very important to me. The elderly and the schools is my most two important things.
What about taxes? Can you do it without raising taxes? Where are you going to find the money?
The Kentucky Lottery gives us $270 million. If we get the gambling back in Kentucky, which I'm not for, but if we did, I think they're offering us at least $270 million more. If we could put that money back into the schools and back into the old folks, which would be really good. I'm not for gambling, but if they put the gambling on the voting machines and all the people did vote for it, and then I would go along with it.
So you would be in favor of casino gambling?
If 75% of the people in Kentucky voted for it, and if the bill came in front of me, I would sign it.
What about the death penalty?
I don't think so.
You're not in favor of it?
I don't think so. I just can't see taking a man's life.
So if a judge and jury, if a jury convicts someone and sentences them to death and their day comes up and it crosses your desk, would you sign the death warrant?
I guess it would more depend on, I'm being honest now, it would depend more on the circumstances, I would say. If he was a cold-blooded killer and just, if an officer pulled him over and he just jerked a gun out and killed that man, I believe I would sign it.
What about abortion?
That's an issue I try to stay out of. I've got 8 people on my staff that's checking into that, and I'm not going to say one way or the other.
So you're not going to say yes or no if you're in favor of it? All your opponents have.
I know, but I'm not going to say. Don't get mad at me, but I'm just not going to say.
Okay.
I'm being honest with you, Neil. I'm being honest.
Okay. How will you balance the needs of the coal industry and environmental concerns, and do you support mining in the Robinson Forest or Black Mountain?
The Robinson Forest, now I ain't heard of that one. The Blanton Forest, no. The Blanton Forest is one of the prettiest sites we have.
What about Black Mountain?
The top of Black Mountain, no. No. I don't think we should disturb the top of that mountain, period.
If you were elected governor, would you commit to having cabinet members from Eastern Kentucky, and what prominent regional leaders would you pick to be a part of your administration?
I think I ought to get some tobacco farmers and some milk cow farmers to come and help me. The ones we got, it's not working. So I think they should be replaced, and let's put somebody in with fresh ideals. And like I say, the rich always run the state, and they can't handle it. So I can't put people back in there that's already there because they can't do the job.
The East Kentucky Corporation recruits jobs full-time for Eastern Kentucky. The last legislature chose to cut its funding while funding the West Kentucky Corporation, which was actually modeled after the East Kentucky Corporation. Will you push for increased funding for the East Kentucky Corporation? What, if any, role will it play in your administration?
Yeah, I think so. Jobs is the most important thing. Besides our elderly, our schools, our next thing will be jobs. It falls back on my factories. And I believe we got a lot of factories empty. We got some in Harlan right now. Our county judge executive has got Joe Grisham. He's got a brand new factory sitting over there that's empty, and he let 4 factories in Harlan close down. So, yeah, I think I would. I think I would put the money back, definitely.
Okay.
If they're doing a good job now.
The economy of Eastern Kentucky, as we've already talked about, is mostly based on coal. new jobs that have been recruited are manufacturing jobs which compete with Mexico and other cheap foreign labor. If elected governor, what will you do to improve the region's economy and bring jobs to Eastern Kentucky? We've talked a little bit, you're talking about bringing in plants, but again, I guess, how are you going to bring in those plants and improve the economy here?
Once we get the plants built, get the factories built, and then I'm going to get Phillips Plaskett to come and help me set up, and so we can create. It doesn't matter to me if we have to build dog houses, anything in those factories, as long as it creates